Hello and welcome to another episode of The Nice Knit, a podcast where we talk about knitting, and it's nice. My name is Laramie, and today we're just going to do a good old-fashioned podcast episode where I tell you what I've been knitting, what I have cast on to, as well as a few projects, or one project I suppose, that I have finished. So this is actually not the video I planned on filming and releasing today. I have filmed and am in the process of editing a video on making my own stitch markers, but I underestimated how difficult that would be to edit. It is about 2 hours worth of footage. I am not talking in like about half of that, and it is a challenge. I'm used to editing videos where I am talking most of the time. There's just a few things I need to cut out or add in or move around, but for the most part everything is really straightforward. But in this video I'll talk, I work for a little while, and then I talk again, and I'm having such a hard time figuring out at what point is it no longer interesting for you to watch me put together these stitch markers, and will adding music help? Will do I need to cut things out? Do I need to fast forward? I don't know. So instead of making it not fun for me and trying to get that video out even though I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna go, I decided that I have enough new stuff to talk about. I'll just film an episode of the podcast and we'll see if that video gets released. I may do a voiceover for some of the parts instead of just waiting for me to talk to the camera, but I don't know. That's a future Laramie thing to figure out. Today Laramie wants to tell you about her latest projects. So as is tradition, the first thing we're going to talk about is things that I have finished. So I finally finished the Campgrounds hat. This is the pattern by Taylor Earl. I followed it up to about here, and then instead of doing ribbing, I just continued with stockinette stitch, and then I just kept going, and I made it entirely reversible. I live in the Midwest. It gets quite chilly here, so I wanted a warmer hat that was double layered. So I just, instead of binding off like she suggests, I just kept knitting. I think this is a really good way to see it. I just kept knitting. So I did a row of purl stitches here so that it would fold nicely. And then I just worked the pattern exactly how she laid it out in the pattern, but backwards. I read it from bottom to top instead of top to bottom. And I'm pretty happy with it. I love the way that it looks. I think it is an adorable hat. I think this is actually my favorite side. I knitted this in Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool. This is the oatmeal color, and then this brown is the brown heather. My only thing that I don't like about it, and this is my modifications, not the pattern, is when I knitted this part, I wish I would have still done some ribbing, maybe a 2x2 rib on larger needles than suggested in the pattern, rather than not doing ribbing at all. If you want to hear about why I didn't do the ribbing, you can go watch the last podcast episode where I talk a little bit more in depth about that. But I wish I would have done just a tiny amount of ribbing, even if it was a 1x3 or a 3x1, or very little ribbing to just cinch it in at my ears. And then I also wish I would have knitted another 1/2 inch. But this was entirely a test. I knew that this probably wasn't going to be perfect, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out in blocking with flipping it inside out. But I'm very happy. If you happen to watch my episode or my video about my knitting goals for this year, my knitting bingo, I was able to mark off 2 things with this hat. The first was knitting a hat top down, which I did. I started, I guess it was the brown side. I started the brown side top down, and then technically this side is bottom up or brim up. And I also did mosaic knitting, and I am really happy with the way the mosaic pattern turned out. I love the double layer. The next hat that I make, I will just knit this a little bit farther, and I will probably do, I'm leaning towards a 3x1 rib, which just barely would cinch it in, but would give it a little bit more shape so the wind doesn't just blow right through my ears. But it is pretty warm, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I actually like this Fisherman's Wool a lot as a hat. It is a good hat fabric. So this was my one finished object. I finished it a few weeks ago. I just haven't decided I wanted to do a podcast episode, so I haven't updated you all, but pretty thrilled about this. If I have a photo of me wearing the hat, I will throw it up here. I have a a clip in my hair, and my hair is just short enough that if I take the clip out, I have to go through a whole process to get it back up. So I'm not gonna put it on for you, but I'll pop a picture somewhere. All right, the next thing I wanna talk to you about is projects that I have been working on that you have seen before. The first one I wanna talk about is currently on Justine. This is my gray sweater, and you'll see I have pinned the project bag here so it doesn't pull all the yarn out. But I'm knitting this with Eddie Bauer's Woolpaca and also a Surrey Stratus alpaca to make it just a little bit softer. But I have split for the sleeves. So you see here I've got about 1.5 inches knitted of the underarm. I am now at the point where I just need to decide if I want to do the shaping here or if I want it to be straight down. And honestly, I don't know. The last sweater that I knitted, I did not do any kind of body shaping. And so it's pretty much like a straight down here. But I do have kind of an hourglass figure through here. So I may do some shaping. My only concern is that it's going to be too tight by the time it gets to my hips. So I think if I like cut it off here where like this sweater is and do body shaping and then don't knit it any longer than here, I think it'll be okay. But I've kind of held off on continuing knitting this because I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if I want to do body shaping. I'm at the row that I would need to do a decrease on if I'm going to shape the body. But overall, I'm super happy with this. It fits really well. I took a picture of it on my body and posted it on Instagram. So I'll pop that up here so you can see what it looks like on me, since I am not the same size as Justine. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. That is my gray sweater. I'm not sure, I don't remember the designer's name, but I will pop it up here along with the pattern information from Ravelry. So that is one current process or progress that I have made. My next are my February socks, and I'm kind of embarrassed to show you, to be honest. I haven't made much progress. So, all right, I'll just show you. I don't know. I'm going through a sweater, which you'll see in a second. I'm going through like a sweater and shirt era, we'll call it. And so I kind of stopped knitting socks. So I'm probably not going to get 12 socks knitted this year, but I'm not like over knitting socks. I still want to knit socks. I think that'll be more of a summer thing where they're so small and I can carry them around. But that's what I have. That's all I got. Knitting this with Peyton's or Patton's Croy. This is their self-striping sock yarn in mid-century stripes. This is it. This is as far as I've gotten. Loving the stripes. I can say that. And I do enjoy working on these, but I have just been casting on some new projects and making more project plans. And so instead of working on this, I've been working on that. So I will get these done. I really want these. I'm starting to find out that the socks that I have made are my favorite socks to wear. Like I have some Smartwool socks that I love, but they're great for like if I'm going on a hike or if I'm riding my horse in the winter because they're super warm. That's what they're really good for. But when I'm just like going to work and wearing socks with my shoes, I don't want store-bought ones like your normal like polyester socks I don't like wearing. The Smartwool socks that I have are just too thick or they're like too warm, but the socks that I've made, they are perfect. And so I really want to make a few more pairs so that I can wear more socks of my own. I'm currently wearing, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm currently wearing my multicolored socks. I finally woven the ends and now can wear them, and I basically haven't stopped wearing them. I need to wash them again, if I'm being honest, but it's fine. So I will get these done, but they may be my February and March socks. So, you know, I might label them like between Valentine's Day and actually, I probably won't get them done. I was going to say between Valentine's Day and St. Patty's Day, but there's no way I'm getting them done by St. Patty's Day either. But I do have spring break coming up, so maybe I will. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know that. But those are the two things that I've really been working on or kind of been working on that you have seen before. And then the next two things are new things that I had no business casting onto, but I did. So I'm going to show you. So there's a part of me that's embarrassed that I have all these other projects that I have not completed. and I'm casting on new things, but there's part of me that's also really excited to show you because I'm super excited to have these things, and it explains why I haven't been knitting my February socks. So let's get into it. I'm going to change Justine and then we will continue. Pardon me, ma'am. It is really nice having a dress form. I never thought when I purchased Justine that this is what I would be using it for, but I'm really glad I have her because she makes showing things off so much easier. All right. I think it goes this way. Okay. This is actually the first time I have seen this on a human body or a human form. We'll see if that'll hold. Nice. Okay, so this is my first t-shirt, and it is my first like heavily modified item. I am still knitting it according to a pattern. I'm knitting this according to a James Watts pattern, and I don't know if I wonder if I have the pattern. Maybe it's in here, so I can tell you the name of it. Yeah, I am knitting. Hope you like crinkling. Oh, the rib lace raglan. That was easy. I'm knitting the rib lace raglan by James N. Watts. Now you'll notice that this has no ribbing, nor does it have lace. So that's the first major modifications. When I was doing the gauge swatch, I was really struggling with that lace pattern. I think when I was knitting it normally in the round, instead of knitting it in like a gauge swatch in the round, I would have had better luck because I just think knitting in the round when you're doing a gauge swatch is kind of a handful. So I think if I actually think, wow, I can speak, I swear. I think now, having done this much in the round, I would have been able to do the lace pattern and the rib pattern just fine had I like been knitting truly in the round during the gauge swatch. But I'm also kind of glad that I didn't do the lace pattern because this will be a little bit more wearable when I'm going to when I'm going to events where I don't necessarily want people to be able to see through my shirt and see what bra I'm wearing. So I am really excited for this, though I probably will knit this in the actual lace pattern for more casual summer wearing eventually, but I'm glad I started here. So the first modification I made was not doing that lace pattern. So basically anytime he's walking through the pattern saying like you need to do like it's a yarn over and a knit two together kind of thing. And so anytime it says that, I just skip it and I just knit the normal amount of stitches. The second modification that I am making is my yarn weight, at least my gauge, without that lace pattern is a lot smaller than the gauge recommended in the pattern. This is a fingering weight pattern. This is a light fingering weight yarn. And so maybe in the lace, when done properly, it would meet gauge, but it doesn't meet gauge as it is right now. So I am just like, I knitted 2 or 3 sizes. Like I started with my like cast on 2 to 3 sizes larger than what I would usually wear if I were knitting this and meeting gauge. And so I was hoping that with that additional like sizing, that would account for the fact that my gauge is a little smaller than what he is getting in the pattern. And based on the way that it fits around my neck and how it fits on Justine, I think I made the right choice. The only thing is, like my armpits, I want it to go all the way down to here before we do like the splitting for the sleeves. But if I'm following the pattern, now I would be splitting for the sleeves already. So I think the neckline, like I guess that would be the row gauge. I guess the row gauge is pretty good with the like estimation of 3 sizes larger that I made, but the column gauge or oh no, I'm saying this wrong. The stitch gauge or the stitch count, I made the right estimation of 3 sizes bigger in order to get the right neckline. But the row gauge, this distance must be much shorter than what the gauge was set at for the pattern. So I'm just going to continue doing the raglan increases until I get to a good place in my armpit where I feel like this is going to be a really good shirt situation. So the modifications I have made here are just to that lace. I'm not doing that rib lace pattern. And then I'm also just trying to knit a different size to make sure that I do meet gauge, or I do meet the size that I want without meeting the gauge in the pattern. The yarn that I'm using is Knit and Crochet hand dyed. And I believe this is meant to be a sock yarn. It is 75% superwash merino and 25% polyamide. These are each 100-gram hanks. So I have 3 of these, not even on purpose. They're super squishy and beautiful. And I think that polyamide is going to keep that structure really nicely when it's in the t-shirt. So I'm probably going to need to use at least part of one of these other ones in order to finish this t-shirt. But then I'll probably make socks with the remaining. Or depending on how much I have left, I may make another t-shirt and I may attempt the rib lace pattern. But that is once I get this sucker done. But I'm really excited about this. I am hoping to have this complete by the time like warm weather is here and I'm really ready to wear t-shirts, which it is like approaching the middle of March already. Well, I guess it's not. I don't know. We're early in March, but I feel like the weather's going to start warming up pretty quickly. It's actually going to be 70 degrees on Monday. So technically that is t-shirt weather, but I'm not going to have this done. This is a light fingering weight t-shirt, and it takes so long, but I am actually really enjoying it. I thought I would hate it. I thought I would like really dread going through it because it is such a lightweight yarn, but I'm actually having fun with it. So this has been my lightweight project, which is probably why I haven't knitted my other lightweight project, which is fingering weight. I think fingering weight is the word I'm looking for. My other fingering weight project, which is those socks. So this is my first new cast on that you have not seen yet. All right, and I'm gonna change Justine for my last project that I have right there. All right, so this is another heavily modified / improvised garment. And I'm gonna my needles aren't quite long enough to truly show you what this looks like. But you can kind of get a general idea here of what she's gonna look like. So this is, and actually let me grab the yarn. All right, this is another Knit and Crochet yarn. This is Cloud Paca. I'm knitting this according to 2 patterns, and I'm just like mashing them together and heavily modifying both of them in order to meet the exact like fit that I want. And I think out of all the sweaters that I have started and knitted, this is going to be the first one that is really going to be custom fit to me, and I'm so excited about it. So I'm not just knitting it in this color, but we'll get into it in a minute, but this is going to be my main color, and this is just called Cotton Candy. And I am calling this my Cotton Candy sweater. Since I am majorly improvising it, I'm gonna name it instead of calling it by the pattern, because it is by 2 separate patterns. So the first one that I'm following for the overall like structure and look of the garment is that gray sweater, which is the same pattern that I'm using to knit that DK weight sweater. But this is not a DK weight yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn. And it may be even a little heavier than worsted. Like I think it's actually a heavier yarn than the Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool worsted yarn. But I'm knitting based on the looks of that, but I'm knitting in a heavier yarn. And then to help me determine how many stitches to cast on and how to approach the neckline, I used the Bloom pullover pattern. So this is a color work pattern. I talked about it in my last video where I was going through just a Ravelry pattern dump, and I tried to knit the color work using this yarn, but it's not a good, at least for me, it wasn't a good beginner color work, like stranded color work attempt, because this is very slippery yarn because it has a lot of alpaca in it. And so I just, with metal needles, without understanding how to properly hold your yarn and do color work, I really struggled to do the pattern presented in the Bloom pullover. But I still really like that pattern. I will eventually knit it, but I wanted to knit something with this yarn, and I really liked the way that the gray sweater is fitting me. So instead of doing a 1x1 rib as is in the gray sweater, I'm doing a 2x2 rib as in the Bloom pullover. I ended up having to size down because I like a tighter neckline than what the bloom pullover is giving you in that pattern. And then I'm just knitting in just a normal raglan. Instead of doing make one right and make one left, I decided just to do knit through the front and back loop just to make it really, really mindless and really easy. And I wanted to see what that looked like. Wide raglan, I have 3 stitches in between my 2 stitch markers. And then once I get probably like here on the sweater, I am going to do some striped color work. So I have been recently binge watching. Her name is Isabella, and she has a YouTube channel, Breathing Yarn. And one of her first sweaters, or maybe her first sweater that she ever made, she refers to as her Polaroid sweater. And it's this like white or off-white sweater with the like a striped section like right through here that looks like the Polaroid logo. So it's like orange, yellow, or red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And I loved that. I really loved that. And so I kind of was like, I had already started knitting this in pink, but I was like, I think I could do a stripe like that on my sweater because I already have a couple other colors of this yarn, and I've got a few more coming just so that I can finish this. Editing Laramie here. I just wanted to take a second to shout out Isabella from Breathing Yarn. If you haven't watched her channel, please do so. I will have it linked down below. But she is really a huge inspiration for both me as a knitter and for the content that I want to put on this channel and like the standard of conversational content that I would like to make. I also just think she's makes great videos. She's really fun to like sit and hang out with while you're knitting. And I just really enjoy her channel. I also have to give her full credit, and am more than happy to give her full credit for the idea of this sweater, because as I mentioned, I did not have this in mind until I just came across one of her videos where she was talking about the Polaroid sweater. So had I not seen that video, I would have just knitted that entire sweater pink, which I would have also loved, but I don't think I will love it or would have loved it as much as I think I'm going to love my version of her Polaroid sweater. Also, she's the only reason, maybe not the only reason, but she's a big reason that I am like brave enough to start improvising my own sweaters and like taking patterns that I've purchased and making them my own. Prior to this, I was really self-conscious about it, but she talks on her channel a lot about how she improvises sweaters or self-drafts. I believe the first sweater she ever made, she self-drafted, which is incredible. So if you want to learn more about that process or like get inspired to start self-drafting or modifying your own sweaters, I highly recommend you check out her channel. And again, I'm so excited to have my version of the Polaroid sweater. I'm still going to call it the cotton candy sweater, but it's going to have that like relative Polaroid stripe across it. And I am pumped. So if you happen to ever watch this, Isabella, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your creativity. I appreciate your channel. And I think you're pretty cool. All right. I'm going to send it back to past Laramie. I'm going to knit probably maybe another inch. Depending on, I think it sits a little higher up on me. I think it's like right here on me. Maybe knit another inch in the pink and then do, I think I had orange, because there wasn't a red that I really liked. Orange, yellow, green, blue, and then I'm debating about a purple. I have a purple on hand, but I don't know that I'm gonna do purple, and then knit the rest of it in pink. But I'm really excited for what this is going to look like. And actually, let me go grab my notebook and I can show you because I drew it out. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right, so this is the notebook that I am using to keep track of all of my like sweater modifications. So like I have my improvised pullover information here for this sweater. And then I've got a couple of images here, and I'm not sure how much you can see that because I am currently filming with the back camera instead of the front camera, so I can't tell if it's focusing. But this is just one that I'm like playing around with, but this is the one that I'm referring to here. And this sweater, so you can see I've added the purple here, but that like Polaroid style stripe through here. And I think I have a picture of this that I can throw up that's better, or I'll take one. But I think that's what I'm gonna do for the cotton candy sweater. And if I had that yarn on hand right now, this is the only thing I would be knitting. I am getting ready to go play D&D with my friends, and I would take this with me and just like keep going, but I can't because I don't have all the yarn yet. And actually the 2 colors I'm waiting for are first. So the orange and the yellow, and the green is coming as well. Those are the 3 first colors I want to knit, and then I'm gonna knit probably, yeah, so I'm gonna knit orange, yellow, green, blue, and then maybe purple. And so I have the blue and purple, but I don't have the orange, yellow, or green. The green is arriving today, and then the orange and the yellow probably won't come until the end of the month. So that's good, but I will eventually get that done. So I actually need to pick out, before I leave for D&D, I need to pick out what pattern I want to knit while I'm at D&D. I have to think about that. But this is all I had for you today. I have some cast-ons that I would really like to work on, or some projects that I am planning. I bought some yarn for a potential bamboo/cotton project. I also have another, like I have this blue. This is again the KNC Cloud Paca, but I have it in Colony Blue. That's an interesting name. I have it in Colony Blue, and I want to make a cardigan that looks like this. Like I basically just want to take this cardigan, maybe make this a little narrower, but take this cardigan, copy and paste in this color, and obviously a heavier weight yarn, and you know, not as store-bought looking, because this is store-bought, this won't be. But yeah, eventually I will get that done. But I'm actually planning a video coming up where I go through my yarn stash, because I want to go through my yarn stash, make sure that I have, like the yarn that I have has a purpose and I have thoughts for it. I kind of have some anxiety about the amount of yarn that I have on hand right now. So I think I'm going to take you with me, talk about all the future projects I want to work on, brainstorm some things, maybe get some ideas from you about what I could do with some of the yarn that I have. So I'm going to save the discussion about what I want that cardigan to look like and other sweaters I have in mind for potentially that video or a future podcast episode. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hit 60 subscribers, I think, the other day, which is absolutely nuts to me. Also, my last video had over 400 views, which is insane. Like when I started this podcast and started this YouTube channel, I really thought that I would get 15 views on every video, and those 15 views would be the 15 people in my life who are going to watch it just to support me. And I really didn't think that a lot of people or YouTube would push this out for other people to see. So it's really cool that you're here. If this is the first episode that you've watched and you're watching it all the way to the end, thank you. If you've been here since the beginning, also thank you. I appreciate you so much. Every time you like the video or somebody subscribes or leaves me a comment, it makes my entire day. So I'm really enjoying making YouTube videos. I don't see an end in sight. Still learning how to edit, still learning how to film. This video may look a little different than my others because I've usually filmed on the front-facing camera on my cell phone so that I can see and make sure that I am in view and that everything is focusing. But I know that the back camera is higher quality, so I'm currently filming with the back camera or the rear-facing camera on my iPhone, and so I have no idea what I look like right now, and that is giving me like this much anxiety. And I also don't know that anything that we've talked about today has been in focus. But I'm still going to publish this video because I think it's good to show the process of not knowing what I'm doing and trying my best. But I hope that this is a better quality for video so that this is how we can film. And then I just need to get used to making eye contact with the 2 dots or the 1 dot on the back of my iPhone. And so if there's been times where I'm not making eye contact with you, I apologize. It's because I'm trying to figure out where I need to make eye contact with. Okay, that's the end of my ramble. Again, thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions for future videos, or you just want to make my day, feel free to leave me a comment or like the video. Subscribe if you want to hang out in future videos. I currently am trying to post every Sunday, but we'll see if that schedule continues. At the very least, I'm going to post every other week. At the most, it'll be like 2 videos a week, but 1 video a week is what I'm shooting for right now. But I'm going to let you go. You have a wonderful day. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! I would have been very upset if I walked around the camera and saw that I had never hit the record button, but I did, so we're good.
There's 2 of us with him.
Oh. I was also gonna be like, what does this mean?
Whatever that means. Blank. That's the word.
And so